What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the JuiceBox presented by LockCity. You got Wighty and Munz here today. Happy Wednesday. Hope everyone's having a good week. Today we have episode 187 of the JuiceBox. It's going to be an outlook into this weekend's UFC event taking place in Shanghai, China. The main card for this one is going to be bright and early for us and anyone else located in North America. It's going to be Saturday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern Time, with the main event this weekend being Johnny Walker and Zhang Mingyang. We have some pretty big names on this card, to be honest, for it being a fight night as well. We do see Brian Ortega take on Aljo. We got Sergei Pavlovich and Where's Waldo. We got Sumudaerji and Kevin Borjas. We have some pretty entertaining matchups, in my opinion. How are you feeling about this one, Munz?
I like it, man. For a fight night, they really showed out. Of course, being in China, they had to. They had to give their Chinese fans something to look forward to here, but I like it. I like it a lot. I like
I
it a
agree.
lot.
Can't
Nice. All
complain.
right. Let's dive right into this main card here. We got Taiylake Nueraji versus Kiefer Crosbie. So Nueraji's coming into this one with a pro record of 11-1-0 with 1-0 contest, being technically 1-0 in the UFC. His only UFC fight so far comes from Road to UFC 2, the Shanghai quarterfinals. So other than that, this is technically his debut, technically not, but his debut on official UFC cards. So going from there, he's 5-0 in his last 5 fights. He's on a 5-fight win streak, and he has 11 wins by finish, 10 KOs, and 1 submission. Looking on the other end, Kiefer Crosbie's coming into this one with a professional record of 10-5-0, being 0-2 in the UFC. He's kind of battling for his UFC contract here to stay alive. 2-3 in his last 5, coming off, of course, 2 straight submission losses. 7 wins by finish, 5 KO TKOs, and 2 submissions. Looking over at the tail of the tape, Nueraji is the younger fighter coming into this one, 9 years younger than his opponent. He's 24 years old, and he holds both the height and reach advantage. I think it's Super Saiyan all day here, bro. What are you saying?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I definitely had to do a little bit of research here on the Taiylake Nueraji, however you say it, side of things. So take my opinion kind of lightly on this one for sure. But Nueraji seems to have pretty solid stand up. Kiefer Crosbie, in my opinion, he's over or underwhelming. Sorry, at best, not overwhelming. And if I know anything about the UFC, I think this is a setup to give Nueraji a finish win in front of his home crowd to open up the main card. He's only been beating pretty shitty competition, Nueraji, but give me him to open up the main card with a bang on the money line. It's disgusting, minus 450. And then in terms of methods, I don't know. I think he does get a finish, though, so give me the double chance, TKO and sub minus 240. But then, yeah, the money line to open up, call the card minus 450.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I had to do some more research than usual on Nueraji, doing my write up here on this. But like you said, I just don't see any reason not to take him. Like you got Kiefer Crosbie 0-2. Like you said, Nueraji was kind of going up against kind of soft opponents, you could say. But yeah, I think he gets it done and most likely gets a finish in this one. Sorry for the late switch on the graphic there, guys, but we got it now. Okay, looking over at our next fight, we got Sumudaerji versus Kevin Borjas. So Sumudaerji is coming into this one with a professional record of 17-7-0, being 4-4-0 in the UFC, 2-3 in his last 5, coming off a split decision win in his last fight to end a 3-fight losing streak. He does have 14 wins by finish, 13 KO TKOs, and 1 submission. Looking over at Kevin Borjas, he's coming into this one with a pro record of 14-1-0, being 1-2 in the UFC after winning the Contender Series, 3-2 in his last 4. He is coming off a decision win to end a 2-fight losing streak on his end. And he does have 8 wins by finish, all of them coming by KO TKO. Heading over to the tail of the tape of this fight, Borges is the younger fighter by only 2 years. He's 27 years old, with Sumudaerji holding both the height and reach advantage. This is a bit of a weird one for me. I want to hear how you're feeling about it.
I'm kind of 50-50 on it, to be honest, but what I ended up going with is Kevin Borjas as a slight underdog. I think Borjas is probably the cleaner striker. I think he's definitely better in the pocket. I think he's faster and probably has better combinations. Borjas is at a significant height and reach disadvantage here, which I think is also going to force him to kind of close the gap. I think that could be a disadvantage for Sumudaerji because he's not great inside the pocket. I think the scary thing for me here is that this fight is probably going to go to a decision. I think if it does go to a decision, it's going to be really hard to give it to Kevin Borjas with this fight being in China. I think it definitely leans to the side of Sumudaerji, but I'm going to stick with my gut on this. Give me Kevin Borjas on the money line. It's plus 140, it looks like now, which is great. He's a nice underdog. And then Kevin Borjas via decision. I hope he can get it done a convincing 29-28 sort of deal. That's plus 260 right now for a best methods play.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, despite the height and reach advantage, I was swaying more towards the side of Kevin Borges, so I'm glad to hear that we're on the same page for that one.
Nice.
Nice. All right, moving on to our next fight here, we have Sergei Pavlovich versus Where's Waldo. So Sergei's coming into this one with a pro record of 19-3-0, being 7-3-0 in the UFC, 3-2 in his last 5, and is coming off a decision win to end a 2-fight losing streak. He was on a 6-fight win streak before those 2 losses, so something to note there. He has 15 wins by finish, all of them coming by KO TKO. Waldo Cortes-Acosta is coming into this one with a pro record of 14-1-0, being 7-1 in the UFC, 5-0 in his last 5, putting him on, of course, a 5-fight win streak, and he has 7 wins by finish, 6 KO TKOs, and 1 submission. If you look over at the tail of the tape, both of the fighters are coming in at the prime age of 33. Whereas Waldo holds the slight height advantage, Sergei holds a decent reach advantage. I think it's going to be a pretty nice slugfest in the heavyweight division for this fight. What are you thinking?
Definitely a slugfest. I also think I'm going to get a little bit sketchy here this week, but I'm going to go with, I think, a second underdog in a row on this one. Give me Waldo Cortes-Acosta. He's improving every time he gets into the ring. I think Pavlovich, he's great. I'm big on Pavlovich. He's a knockout artist. But over the last couple of fights, in my opinion, at least, we haven't seen a whole lot of development from him. Whereas on the Waldo side of things, we've seen him get better every single time he gets into the ring. I think he's probably going to be the harder hitter, Waldo. I think he's going to be faster. I think his leg kicks are going to be problematic. He looked really good in his last fight against Sergei Spivak, I think it was last time out. I think we're going to see him get a good striking flow here over the course of however long the fight lasts. Like you, I think this is going to be an absolute brawl. Someone's probably going to get knocked out. I think it's Waldo Cortes-Acosta coming out on top here, plus 200 as the underdog. And then for him to win by knockout is plus 450 right now, which looks really nice to me.
Yeah. I mean, you said it best. On one end, you have Sergei, who's an absolute KO machine. On the other end, you have a great fighter in Waldo, who's getting better in every fight, like you said, and he's winning fights against the most recent being Ryan Spann and Sergei Spivak. So my heart wants to take Sergei Pavlovich on this, but I'm riding with Waldo on this.
Nice. I like it. And since we're both the same on that, and it's the juiciest line of the week, I think it only makes sense that we JuiceBox lock that one. I was going between that one and Kevin Borjas, but I think Waldo's pretty likely to come through, and plus 200 is really juicy.
All right. You heard it there. You heard it right there, folks. Okay, moving on to, is this our co-main event of the evening? Brian Ortega and Aljaiman Sterling. Ugh. T-City's coming into this one with a pro record of 16-4-0 with 1 no contest, being 8-4-0 with 1 no contest in the UFC, 2-3 in his last 5, coming off an unfortunate decision loss in his last fight. He does have 11 wins by finish, 3 KO TKOs, and 8 submissions. Aljaiman Sterling is coming into this one with a pro record of 24-5-0, being 16-5-0 in the UFC, 3-2 in his last 5. He is also coming off a decision loss in his last fight as well. He also has 11 wins by finish, 3 KO TKOs, and 8 submissions. If we look over at the tail of the tape, T-City is the younger fighter by 2 years, coming into this one at 34 years old. He does have the slight height advantage. Aljo has a slight reach advantage. This one's straightforward to me. I cannot stand Aljaiman Sterling. I want T-City all day. End of discussion.
That's fair. I also cannot stand Aljo. I think this is going to be a fun one. I saw on Twitter that Aljo said he's upset that he's not getting paid extra for this fight because it's going to be 5 rounds. I don't really blame him, but I also don't like that mindset at all coming into this. I do think on the Aljo side of things, he's got a better ground game, especially at featherweight. I think since moving up to 145, since getting out of bantamweight, we've seen him fill out a little bit more. He crushed Calvin Kattar. He made Calvin Kattar look like he didn't even know what he was doing. And then he did lose a tough one to Movsar Evelev, but I think that's justified. Aljo does have a longer reach here. I think this is probably going to be a decision, and for whatever reason, I hate Aljo as well, but I do think I lean Aljo in this one. It's minus
Ew.
275 on the money line. I do hope Ortega wins though. Nice underdog, and if it gets down to this point, if my first three hit, I'm just going to be thankful that I also tailed your call the card, and I'm just going to cheer for Ortega.
Can't complain about that. Can't complain. T City all day for me. All right, let's move on to our main event of the evening. We have Johnny Walker versus Zhang Mingyang. Johnny Walker is coming into this one with a pro record of 21-9-0 with 1-0 contest, being 7-6-0 1-0 contest in the UFC. He is 2-2-0 with 1-0 contest in his last 5 and is on a 2-fight losing streak currently. He does have 19 wins by finish, 16 KO TKOs, and 3 submissions. Zhang Mingyang is coming into this one with a pro record of 19-6-0, being technically 4-0 in the UFC. He had that road to UFC was it Shanghai quarterfinals or something like that, as well as other buddy there. He's 5-0 in his last 5, on a 12-fight win streak, and he also has 19 wins by finish, 13 KO TKOs, and 6 submissions. If we head over to the tail of the tape for this fight, Zhang Mingyang is a younger fighter by 6 years. He's coming into this one at 27 years old. Johnny Walker does hold both the height and reach advantage by a pretty significant amount, as you can see there. I like Johnny Walker. I just think it's not his time in this one. What do you think?
I agree. This has got to be Mingyang Zhang all day. I don't know which way. UFC.com has it as Zhang Mingyang, and then depending on the announcer, it could be Mingyang Zhang or Zhang Mingyang. I'm going to go Mingyang Zhang. So he's on a nice knockout streak. Like you said, he hits hard. He's got wins over Brenson Hibero. He's got wins over Anthony Smith. I think those are solid wins. Obviously, the red flag here, like you said, Mingyang Zhang is giving up 4 inches in height, it looks like, and over 7 inches in reach. But Johnny Walker, he's coming off back-to-back knockout losses inside of the octagon. His last win was a hard-fought decision over Anthony Smith, who, if we're doing MMA math, we just saw Mingyang Zhang absolutely manhandle in a very bloody knockout win that same Anthony Smith. So give me Mingyang Zhang here on the money line. It's minus 350. And then Mingyang Zhang by knockout, it's gross at minus 250, very heavily favored. But I think that's definitely the best method, but barely makes a difference there between money line and knockout.
Interesting. So we differ only on one fight for this whole entire fight card.
Yep, just the Aljo one. So my call the card, which would be Nueraji, Borjas, Cortes-Acosta, Aljo, and Mingyang Zhang, comes out to 1442. And your 5 with Nueraji, Borjas, Cortes-Acosta, Ortega, and Mingyang Zhang comes out to 3577. So 36 times your money.
Buddy.
Yeah,
Juicy.
that is lovely. So definitely tail both of these, because if there's any fight that's going to be a 50-50, it's Ortega and Aljo. And if you hedge both sides with me and Munz on call the card here, you got both sides covered. I think the other 4 are pretty likely. And then our JuiceBox lock there, Waldo, Cortes-Acosta plus 200. Seems like an absolute gift. I can't wait for that to come through on Saturday.
I like it. Well, that's everything on my end. I believe that's everything on your end that you wanted to touch up on here before we pass on. So from everybody at LockCity, best of luck to everybody, and we'll see you guys in the Discord. Peace.